Hello, and a big welcome to Simon Ferris, Director of Flat Stand First Aid. I'm sure to many of you, Simon's face is familiar. He's so enthusiastic about what he does and is passionate about the importance of teaching first aid to children to save lives in the future. I'm so pleased he's agreed to have a chat to us today to catch up about how the business has changed in the last year and what the future looks like. Hello, Simon. How are you?
Hi, Sarah. Fine, thank you. Nice to see you.
Yeah, what a year it's been. I mean, how have you found things? I'm guessing a mix like all of us. And how have you coped? Have you got any sort of tips for how you've got through the last year?
$1 million question. It's strange, really, because the year, every day or the week seems to drag. But then when I try and look back and I think, crikey, where's this last 18 months have gone? But the 12 months, October 2019, you see, I'm having to think here again. We're in Nigeria. A few months later, we're in Dubai. But just, I don't know, it's so difficult. But we're plodding on, got to keep positive.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Just keeping one foot in front of the other and looking forward to the future, really.
Yeah, I tell you what, what's helped me really is because we can almost start thinking about what's on our own doorstep, seeing all this going on in the UK. But because we're in contact with people abroad as well, I think that's been an eye-opener because we can really relate to how this is a worldwide issue rather than just being something that's in your own town, in your own country.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think one of the benefits is how much it's, although not able to physically travel, it's sort of opened up the world to speak to people and find out a bit more about how their experiences have been.
Yeah, without doubt, and it's on a talking about the business side of things, it's made a huge difference to how we've approached the business. The world sounds so corny, this, but definitely a smaller place thanks to all the technology that's there.
So what sort of initiatives are you working on currently with the business? Because obviously I think you've had to adapt.
Yeah, well, as you're aware, we in the olden days, we used to go into school and teach children first aid face to face, and it was something that I was really proud about because we were old school sort of thing. Didn't include any technology, so it's just a way of engaging with the children. But what we've had to do is really flip it on its head, and rather than going to schools, we've now developed the workshops as a digital program, really, bite-sized videos. So that we're still engaging with the children, so that they get to see my face and me demonstrating, and the videos just mirror the old face-to-face workshops. We've not stopped the face-to-face workshops. That's something that we're still going to continue doing. But at this moment in time, we still want children to have the opportunity to be introduced to first aid.
And so what do you think the benefits of the videos and the training are for children and for schools?
It just allows a level of, this level of normality. We didn't want our program to be too techy, too tick boxy or anything like that. We still wanted the children to engage with us. I mean, you'll have seen Joe Wicks with his PE sessions. That's what was sort of like mirrored. We didn't want to live stream it because of technical issues. But yeah, they still get to join in, and with the bite-sized video side of things, there's a benefit really, which I've now seen, is that the children can revisit the topics, whereas before they'd only have 60 minutes, 75 minutes with either myself or one of the other trainers. But now it's always there for them to revisit. So there's benefits really.
Okay, and so let's go back to the beginning. What made you start your company? Why did you set up Flat Stand First Aid?
Right, a long story. Not a lot of people know this. Actually, my background, I'm actually a solicitor, but because of interest in first aid, I started a first aid training company to run aside my legal practice. And it was really just to give something back to local communities. One day I was asked to go into a school to teach 30 8-year-olds, and I'm smiling here because I stood there in front of them and I died, really. I'm trying to talk to children, introduce them to first aid with horrible mannequins, the things that we use to, these ugly resuscianis. And I was staring at 30 blank faces. So I thought, right, we've got to tweak this, really, make it more fun, more kiddie friendly. So I developed a mannequin, which was flat, hence the flat, and my little boy's called Stan, Flat Stan. Made a little book to run aside the workshops, and it just slowly started to grow and gather momentum. Now, this was all before first aid was added to this primary school curriculum here in the UK. And I think today over 95,000 children have taken part in the workshops. It's been phenomenal in the last 3.5 years.
That's amazing. And so what do you enjoy most about what you do?
The kids. It really is. It's absolutely wonderful engaging with the children when it was the face-to-face side of things, and that's what I'm going to miss until we get back in front of the children. Just like making a difference as well, because it is making a difference. We're passionate about this being inclusive. So it's not just for the really bright kids. It's anyone can learn these skills. And just seeing the fun on the children's faces. But I also like the developing side of things and just seeing how far we can get this, really.
I mean, it's probably quite an obvious question, but why do you think it's so important to you to be teaching kids about first aid?
I think it's like many life skills. I think life's so much busier and so much quicker. And when I was younger, I joined the Cubs, as many children do now. But I think we sometimes overlook these other things rather than just your maths, your English, and general topics. But it gives children the confidence, really, to act in an emergency. I mean, we've come across some schools when 75% of a class of primary school children don't know the emergency number, don't know, as we've got 999. And if we're not careful, we probably might get to a missed generation, because if these children don't know these skills, will they then tell their children? And why aren't they being told this maybe by their parents? So it's essential that they just know what to do in an emergency.
Yes, so I mean, sort of as you say, for the future, and also sort of for their own safety and their families' safely currently as well.
Yeah, and I think also because we're living in a world whereby sometimes children are being looked after by grandparents a lot more. And if something happens to the grandparents, do the children know how to get help? Do the children know their address? If they have to summons an ambulance, do they know where they live? It's no good saying past the park and near the big tree. They should be able to tell these ambulance people where they are. So yeah, there's so many different reasons, really. And for when they're out with their friends, just giving them the confidence.
And how is Flatstan First Aid supporting schools?
What we've done is, and I'm not just saying that because I'm chatting to you, but we realise that the pressure that schools are under and teachers are under. So what we've done with this particular programme is try to make it, firstly, as easy as possible for it to be delivered in the school, so the teachers don't have to download more resources, don't have to prepare a lesson plan, because the bog down as it is, dealing with technology and dealing with parents, dealing with children. But there's also the financial implications for the schools, because some schools are, don't use the word struggling, but they've got other things to be thinking about. So what we've decided to do is offer the programme over a 3-year period and have stage payments for the schools. Just make it easier that way. And that also gives the schools the confidence that we're not just going to sell a resource and then disappear. That's not what it's all about, because we're going to still keep in touch with the schools. Was there if they've got any queries, any problems. We're sending out newsletters every term for the children. As an example, when it gets to bonfire night here in the UK, we'll be talking about firework safety and burns. It's all that sort of thing, quizzes, competitions.
So obviously you've had to change and adapt how you've run the business in the last year, and you've given us some key examples. What advice would you give to other people in a similar situation?
Just keep going and make the most of your time, because obviously we've had a lot of time on our hands because we've not been in the schools, or we've not had people to talk to, and it's just really sitting back, thinking right, how else can we do this, because time will disappear, and you don't want to be having to do something for the sake of having to do it out of desperation. This has moved us on possibly 3 years, because the plan was, say if a school in Dubai was interested, is that we would have flown out with a team of trainers, spent a week there delivering the workshops, and then flying back. That had its own logistical problems anyway prior to all this happening. So it's just trying to think outside the box really, and just watch what other people are doing, see what other people are up to and how they've adapted. That's
interesting. We've heard that quite a lot, that people have either had to do learning in a very short space of time that would usually take years to do in a period of months, and it sounds like you pushed your business on quicker than you otherwise would have done. And what other plans do you have for Flatstand First Aid in the future?
Just want to concentrate on what we're doing at the moment and making this the international schools. What we've also done is I mentioned that the children get a book at the end of the program. We've now made that available as an e-flip book, which is ideal. But I also developed a Braille first aid guide for children, and as far as I'm aware, it's the first time anyone's ever done that in the world. One's not been developed before, so I want to try and get that out for special educational needs children, or visually impaired children and adults. Like I said earlier on, we're passionate about making this inclusive, so we'll just have to see where that goes. But again, that's causing us some problems because of the distancing side of things.
Okay, so let's have a chat perhaps about some of your more personal experiences outside the company. So if you weren't a CEO and founder of your company, what career would you choose if you could do anything?
My little boy Stan asked me this the other day, because I said to him, what do you want to do when you get older? He said, I want to come and work for you, which is quite nice. And I said, why? Yes. He said, because you don't seem to do a lot. And he's 8. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you're busy, but you're just enjoying yourself. And he asked me, he said, what would you like to do if you didn't do what you do? I couldn't answer him. It's a really strange one. I don't know. I just enjoy what I'm doing. And it doesn't seem like work. Don't get me wrong. There's long days, general worries, hard work, traveling, leaving home, and it's hard, but I just enjoy what I do. So it's a tricky one.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, being content. Well, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's brilliant. So one of the questions we're asking people is sort of what has been their career low and what they've learned from that experience.
Career low. I suppose a lot of people are going to say this. COVID really has. It's full of beans, and when we'd been out to the exhibition in Dubai, GESS, and I think it was the 26th of February, getting an award and thinking, crikey Moses, this is great. Loads to shout about, and then 4 weeks later, was it? Lockdown. Yeah, and it's not a selfish low. It was thinking, crikey, where are we going to go here? And it wasn't just the business side of things. It was thinking, all right, we are a business, but you're thinking, right, these kids aren't going to be introduced to this. How can we try and, what we're going to do? How are we going to get it out there? I did think that we wouldn't be back into schools until Easter of this year. And I remember saying it to a friend, it was March. And he said, it's not like you to be pessimistic. I said, I don't think I am. And here we are. So that was that's the low, I suppose.
And I guess what you took from that was sort of taking the positives and readjusting sort of business values and how you move the business forward.
Yeah, I think that's kept, on a personal note, that's kept me relatively sane, and that's kept me going, because needs must as well. But yeah, it's all positive.
And then, what's been your career high? What's the best thing you can remember?
Oh, there's been a few. Let me get my head around where we're up to with the year. It's getting really anyone. September 2019. Yes, it was 2019. Receiving an email from a lady to say that, or thanking me to start off with, saying, I want to thank you for what you've done. That was a bit of a strange one. Read through it a bit further down, and her 6-year-old daughter had saved her 1-year-old brother's life after he'd been choking on 2 coins. When the paramedics turned up and realised that she'd hit a little baby brother on the back and done some other bits and bats and shouted for help, they said, how did you know to do this? And she said it was on one of the Flat Stanley. She said, Flat Stanley taught me this. Mum tracked us down to say, well, if it wasn't for us, maybe the little one wouldn't have survived. So that was the first, and that was fantastic. And then another career high again, March of last year, the last workshop that we delivered in a school. I actually delivered those workshops. The school were a bit reluctant to have us in because of distancing, so managed to persuade them to allow us to go. We went along, and then September received an email saying that a 10-year-old boy who'd been on one of the workshops had saved his 6-year-old sister's life when she'd been choking on some Lego. Thought, yeah, that's great. It's not about us, it's just proving or reinforcing that these children can make a difference. So yeah, they're the highs, I suppose. And the award again, I'd say that, overwhelming.
Oh, thank you. But yes, I mean, what highs have? I think there must be very few jobs out there outside of the medical profession where, you know, you are actually saving lives and having such a positive impact on things. So that's good to hear. What would be the one piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
Don't always listen to your dad. Because there's things that I wanted to do, and yeah, it's just really, if you've got something that you want to do, give it a go. And there was, I'm not old, I'm 48, but there's things that I wish I'd done earlier in life when it came to, say, business, just to give things a go. Not necessarily not being reckless, but sometimes take that risk. Because yeah, I've learned it probably a little bit later in life than I would have liked. And
to sort of the last few questions, looking at sort of the future and the future of education and the future of the business, what are you hoping for in the future? What are you looking forward to?
Really to see how many more children we can introduce to first aid through the digital side of things. That's exciting. About 3 years ago, I started to work on a program for children's well-being. We might tie that in with what we do now, but that's going to be in the future. Going to concentrate on what we know. But it's exciting. Education generally. We are homeschooling. don't like the term homeschooling actually, but battling at home as many parents are and teachers are. But the technology's made a difference. But I'd like to see us back in schools as well, the face-to-face side of things, because as good as technology is, you lose that interaction sometimes, or the children do. It's not a level playing field for all children.
No, and certainly that's something we're hearing, and I think, you know, from our personal perspective as well, getting back and meeting people and that face-to-face interaction, I think, has been one of the hardest things the last year. And there's positives but negatives, but you're totally right, that sort of face-to-face and engaging with people again without having to think about it, that's going to be good when it happens.
Yeah, because I think the children are losing that. I've seen it with my boys sometimes, using that the ability to communicate, or the confidence side of things. He's great when he's on his little devices, as they all are, but yeah, to hold that conversation, and I think we find it difficult, don't we?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Definitely. So if people want to find out more about the bite-sized videos, resources, or get in contact with you, well, where's the best place for them to go?
The website, it's I'll give you, I always get this wrong and I keep saying it time and time again. www.flatstan-firstaid.co.uk, or if you Google Flatstan First Aid, we will crop up.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Simon. It's been lovely to see you again.
Thank you.